States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. Let's start with our main man.
So we finished up the tapping fee study, and I gave everybody a copy in front of them. Not important to review tonight, but for you to have it. I think the goal might be for next Tuesday to adopt it, unless there's any changes that you may have. Tapping fees are your ability to be able to recover costs when someone connects to the sewer. And the law allows you to be able to do that. So in the study, what it shows is that we figured out what the value of your sewer system. It turns out it's worth about $67 million.
Holy.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. In today's dollars, it's worth about $67 million. The capacity in your system is about 137 million gallons a day. So you take that 67 million, you divide through by the 137 million gallons a day, and you get $1 per flow rate. And that's really what we end up doing. If you have, I think I used the example before, a car wash, and they use lots of water and therefore lots of sewer, then that ratio I just gave you allows you to be able to recover the capacity or the conveyance in your system through that ratio. If it's just a home, it turns out that it's only $420 a get to. When you have a big hotel, you have a big car wash, the dollars start to add up because the flows add up. And the borough, as part of the tapping fee, the borough gets paid for the inspections of any home, business, any connection to the sewer system. So when our people go out from the borough to do the inspection, the borough is getting paid by the developer or the homeowner for that inspection. And that's it. I think that's it in a nutshell. If you read it over, you have any questions, these things are always only as complicated as you allow them to be. And there's examples in the study itself. I've already gone over this with LeeAnn and Archie, and there's examples. But, my experience with this is, you can only do so many examples, and the first time out of the box, somebody comes with a different business, we're gonna have a question about it, and we'll figure it out.
So we're nowhere near capacity of the flow right now. We can sustain a lot more industry and business and homes, right?
Yes. So, and that's a tricky question because let's just say this, there are portions of your system, especially in the state right-of-way, that should be designed for a 10-year storm event, and they're not. As of right now, they're not. They're probably designed for a 2-year event, so it would rain so hard that it happened every 2 years. They should be designed for every 10 years, and that type of event. So,
is that something the state looks into, or are they just
no,
don't know
not my
until
experience. No, not my experience.
until it happens and then they figure it out?
Yeah, not my experience. And let's say it this way too. Other than the fact that there's some parts of our system that maybe don't that get clogged every now and again, the system performs pretty well. Right? The system performs pretty well. So yeah, we would be ready for additional connections of sewer, and and here's the other part of it. While that's true, anytime that a developer comes to the table, whether it's a homeowner or a developer, and something in the system needs to be upgraded, it should be on their nickel.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? They come to us, they say, hey, we need a 10-inch pipe. We've got an 8-inch pipe. We say, okay, you need to go and make it a 10-inch pipe.
I have a question.
Yep.
We had a conversation in there. So before I give you the question, I just want to tell everyone up here, the numbers and everything that he did was a great job from them. I mean, you're putting us in a really, really good situation. Here's a question that I was asked, because you had told us when you're talking to people, mention that now that there's going to be a tap-in fee. Is there any such thing as grandfathering in to your system? Like, so say if Megan had a business over here and they wanted to add another part to their system, I told them no, but I didn't know how to answer that. Like, every new tap-in is going to be charged, am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I was looking at
Yeah,
it.
so I'm not sure what your question is, but like if somebody has a business and they already have a connection to the system.
Yes, but they wanted to add on,
They wanted to
tap in
add.
from a different area, but it was that company, like say, they wanted to add on to the borough outside and tap in.
The business was going to expand?
Yes,
So if the business is going to expand, because you never charge them a tapping fee to start with, you can't, there's no going. Now,
that was the question.
Now,
That was the question.
here's what could happen. If you have a business come in and you charge them a tapping fee, and it's based on a flow rate of 500 gallons a day, and then they want to expand the business, and now it's going to be 5,000 gallons a day. Now you can go back.
Okay. I just wanted to be on that page. You'll be with us when we do this, but I just want to let everyone know that we might hear that scenario when people come in, and there's the answer to it right there. Basically, no, but yes, we would charge if the gallons were exceeding what we already put into that.
Right, I would think too, that if somebody's expanding their business, the borough has the right to be able to understand how they're going to expand the business and what that's going to do to the sewer system. Because, again, if somebody has a business where it's 1,000 gallons a day, and all of a sudden they want to make it 100,000 gallons a day, we have the right to be able to step in and say, hey, in order for you to do this, we need to do X, Y, and Z. That doesn't mean you can charge them a tapping fee, but it means that you know.
Until you showed me the other day, my tapping fee, what I thought it was totally different from what it is. I thought it was just not that. Like, I didn't realize the gallons that go into our source system is what we're actually charging them for.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It's the capacity in your system. The other thing that we did do in trying to make your number as big as possible, two things. One is Stowe and Kennedy both have portions of their system that run through our system. And I'll beat a dead horse because I've been saying it for 20 years. We provide them a luxury they wouldn't have otherwise. Stowe and Kennedy don't give us money to maintain our system, so
Right.
their sewage flow can go through it. So,
We actually have had issues in the past.
yeah,
with that,
we do a nice thing for Stowe and Kennedy to that extent.
Great job, though.
So we subtracted out the flow from Kennedy and Stowe in order to make your capacity number a smaller number. Additionally, the flow right now that is considered overflow that doesn't make it to Alcosan, we subtracted that out too, because we're not conveying that flow. So that's my story.
Sticking to it.
I'll stick to it until someone asks a question.
Great job, Nara. Great job, Doug, and great job to the board
Well, I
for
think
bringing that up.
everybody was concerned that we wanted to be ready for the next development, and I think we're ready.
Awesome.
You guys,
Great job.
unless you guys want to, review or dig into this anymore, by all means, dig into it, ask questions. But if we were to change it and it went on to March, then that's fine.
Would this answer a lot of questions, everything you gave us here?
I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope so.
So try to read this for next week if you guys will.
Everybody's got my phone number, so
Yeah.
call me and say, hey, I got a question about page 5. What does it mean?
Thank you. Thank you very, 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 very much. While we're on, Doug, let me just once go back again to him and Harry. Did a great job on Thompson Avenue with Bossetti. Working with them guys, you got that whole side of the bank done for the rest of our grant. So thank you very much for that, Doug. Appreciate it. And thank them again as well. If you guys have a chance, look at it. I know it's nothing big, but to a couple of us, it's kind of big. It looks a lot better.
Well, I think for all of us, it was, we finally, after decades, got Thompson paved. And that portion of the road looked good, and then what stands out is the things that are next to the newly paved road, and that was it. But, okay, now that we did that, that doesn't look so good. And so what can we do about that? And so that's how I came about.
I did talk to LeeAnn about what we talked about, sorry guys, about the openings with all the water company, their
Yep.
pipe openings. So she did call them and reach out to them. So as we get them, we'll turn them into you, because
Yep.
that's kind of big, correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you. Sorry.
I wanted to let you know that that there's an application period now that's starting for the TA Small Water and Sewer Grant. We talked it over the other day, and there's an area that has sewer defects in Davis Avenue, Raymond Street, and Fruitway, and we're gonna target the grant application towards that.
Awesome.
We are going to be bidding out your 2025 sanitary sewer cleaning, and I'll bring those results back to council for your approval. Dayton Freight finally did submit their land development plans last week. We will be reviewing those, and we're on our way. I will tell you that we did not get the GED TF grant for the Phase 1 storm sewer separation project. It's competitive, and it's a lot of money. We just didn't get it this time, so we'll keep knocking on the door. State Pipe did clean the sewer that I talked about last month in back here in McKees Street. And then we're working with Action Housing. They needed a will serve letter as they're going forward. We'll be helping them with that little bit of work they did. I think they did come with money in escrow for the borough. So that's it. That's my story, unless there's any questions.
Great job. Thank you, Douglas.
Thank you.
All right, agenda, Finance Administrative Committee, hiring Borough Administrative Assistant position. I want to say great job to LeeAnn for all the interviews we did. Great job to Rob Gallagher, Joe Mixter, and Maryann Holland. They were great in the last phase of it, helping us with some things to go over with the last finalists, and we really appreciate that. Helped us out a lot. I'll let you finish it up.
Oh, so, I'm like, what are we finished up? Not the meeting yet. So the, chosen applicant came in this morning to do some computer skills training,
Yes.
so to speak. Very competent in Microsoft Office and Excel. She actually did some typing of letters that we needed for tomorrow, and she prepped it.
We owe her money already.
I know, she was already working for me. We did go onto the Borough website, and I showed her what it looks like as a viewer, and then I logged in as the backdoor administrator, and I said to her, like, we have ways to change it, but no one has been trained to do this. We just know there's options to change it, and she was able to, we didn't change anything because we're live, but she's like, oh, you can change your widgets, you can change your panes, the layout can move. She goes, but I don't want to do it while you're live. Like, we would have to ask On Fire Media to, like, suspend the website for 24 hours so we can manipulate things so the public isn't logging on when we're moving things around and it kind of looks disarray. But she knew the lingo, she knew all the different toggles and everything.
Shame it wasn't on the resume.
I know, it was, I mean, she was like, oh, we could do this, and I was like, you could do it, because I can't, like, I can.
So needless to say, we're gonna be shutting down our website at one
Eventually,
point.
yes, at one point, we're gonna have to
Understand.
go, we're gonna have to
Okay.
cut it down for a day or two,
Well,
but.
that's where the thank you came into the three administrators. They asked these questions, they had LeeAnn bring her in, and I thought that was very good for everything, so thank you once again. And LeeAnn, you did a great job with the interviews, and I really appreciate it. Great job.
Well,
Okay, Public Safety Committee, nothing. Parks and Recreation, Mr. Mixter.
Nothing.
Real Estate Committee, so there is another donation for 1133 Chartiers. That is Juco Brothers, am I correct?
No.
no.
Oh, is that a different one?
Last thing.
Oh, I apologize. Picture of it?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so everybody just do some research on that one. All of us, please. And the one on Campbell Street, I just want to know, we are not in the business, this is just me speaking, not in the business of taking properties in to tear them down, okay? Just like the other stuff, if, you know, I talked to a couple council members a little bit earlier, if it works out, like Level is interested in that house. Level is interested is the Campbell. Yeah, so I have to talk to Megan, that was why I was so excited for you to hear. So I will talk to Megan, you will get an email about that. I am not gonna ask us to accept that because they owe so much money and we think it needs torn down. So unless there's a different plan that we can work in and everyone would up and up, I will not ask us to do that unless it's like that.
So this church here, like there's a building.
Is it the same thing?
That's the building. It's the building.
Church is bad.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about that one, so I have to look into
The
that.
church here is terrible. Yeah, yeah, that's Keith, definitely.
Yeah.
We gotta set a precedence. I don't wanna just do it this so, I wanna make sure that we could, you know what I'm talking about. So, all right, so we will get that, we will get you information in the next couple of days, and hopefully we can deal with them coming up. Public Works Committee, question to all council members, are you guys, I had a lot of not complaints, but just a lot of phone calls, about the speed bumps. They were coming up. That wasn't really us, but it's just because the water, snow, salt, everything is pushing them up. We are resalting them down. Do you guys still think it's a good idea for us to keep them up?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure that everyone is in agreement with that. We did get the rest of our salt, I believe, so we are stocked with salt.
You'll definitely see that down next week.
Yeah, I was down there with Ryan today, and we might go out and buy some tarps, unless we get is any snow coming?
It's gonna rain.
It's gonna rain.
Oh, we gotta try to cover ourselves, because we don't want the rain to ruin it, so we might go out and buy some tarps. Is that okay? Okay. All right.
Coming tomorrow.
All right, Borough Association, Mr. Myers.
Nothing to report.
Caucus, Mrs. Holland.
Nothing to report,
Borough Development, Mrs. Holland.
no development except date and break.
That's awesome. That's a great development. Codification Committee, Mr. Corey's not here. Do you have anything to say about it? LeeAnn? Or LeeAnn?
No, we're just waiting on general code to respond back to us for, that draft review. And I sent them the additional ordinances that we adopted since the original review, so they're adding that as well.
Borough Manager, you're up.
Just, informational, there's a zoning hearing scheduled next Wednesday at 7 PM with Action Housing. They are requesting a variance for our parking, requirements. Just generally speaking, they're asking for a reduction in spaces based on their 44 unit development.
You know, I thought about that, because that was a big stipulation to get the vote through, that they would guarantee that many parking spots. And now they want to renege on that. So that might make me renege on my vote too.
So at least with my understanding of it right now, Action Housing had a proposed plan, brought it to council. Council looked at it and said, at least last year, yes, we support it. It had, that it had this like interesting use of the stairs down the middle, right? And we had this whole design. Since then, they have acquired site control for the subs and subs on the corner. So, and they didn't get the funding last year, so they're going back to the state again with an application. Now that they are going to take a design and put it on on different parcels that were not approved, that weren't part of their original application last year, and the variance goes to the parcel next, the second parcel in. It does not apply to the corner. And so what they need, and what they came and said, well, can we just have the variance applied to our whole new site? And I said, no. I mean, if there was a way legally, you can't do that. It's a different project now.
Right.
It's different parcels. So they're going to the zoning hearing board and asking for a variance in parking, but my understanding is that the application is for the same exact number of spots, and I think it's a minimum of 26 is what they guaranteed when they came and saw you last year.
I thought it was 18.
Or was it 18? Whatever the number was, is
And
what.
two of them had to be handicapped.
Okay.
That's what we're gonna say the same.
So the number stays the same, as they had applied for last year, but it has to get tagged in both parcels, it has to get tagged to the entire site. And it's not right now, and there's not a way just through like a magic legal letter to extend it. They need to go back to the zoning hearing board, tell the zoning hearing board what they want, and show them that it's the same thing as last time.
Did they go bring a whole new concept in Caucus?
So ultimately, I mean, they haven't made it as far as land development, and Maryann's committee, and the planning commission. It will, once they get funding, this is kind of like, if we get the money, then we'll move forward with the full design. Their starting point is a conceptual thing, and they're shifting it now, so it would not involve the stairs, they've shared just like a high-level version of that. So right now, what they are talking about is taking what they were gonna put before, shifting it over and recentering it on the corner lot and that next lot up. The design is it's gonna have to change, because now we don't have stairs going down the middle of it, right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, because Mr. Burchak said that they may build more apartments.
Ultimately, they can't build anything that doesn't go through, it can be pie in the sky, they can go and get the state to commit 50 million, whatever, money, dollars that they think, but they know, and we've been really clear, Myra's been clear, Bobby's been clear, I've been clear, look, until you have an application in front of us, we're not prejudging anything. I will say that there are different pieces of the zoning ordinance and the subdivision land development ordinance are saldo, that are implicated by them moving it to the corner. Right? We treat corner lots a little bit differently, and there's line of sight issues, and so.
But the corner's commercial, right? And
Corner is commercial.
It's already residential?
It's,
Or is that considered an apartment as
so it can.
I'm just curious.
It's a permitted use, and it's all it is all commercial, I think across all the lots that they're talking about now. The issue ends up being more setbacks and how you design it in a way that's compliant. Right now, all they're prepared to say is that it will be, that they think the only thing that they will need, at least right now, is the same parking variance as previously approved and proposed. But we are we are very, very preliminary in that project.
But the major concern is fire truck can't get down Murray Street, so eventually he's going to have to go one side parking. And that was my point to them.
Well, and
There's no parking up there now, and when you make it one side, the fire truck can't get down there.
they actually think that by shifting the building, the impacts on the view, because I think that was one of, legitimately, right? That was some of the Mary Street, concerns, that will be better.
Right.
The stairs will be less impacted, and they actually think that they can get more of the parking on the site now that they have, because they have what they had before, and now they have they have more. So, until we see what they actually propose in the end, I think we all reserve judgment to see if it's a good idea, how it looks, how you feel, how it fits into all of our standards. But.
Is that from that Mr. Costa guy? Is that what we did? So just so everyone knows, we did give him a letter of support from before. So they're gonna be using that letter now. Remember at the end, we kind of got it together and had some support. So we're still banking off of that letter. Talked to Mr. Costa because I had talked to him, told him what Terrace has said to Maryann. He said Terrace Verchak has nothing to do with this project as far as building. Just so we know. He said they have nothing to
Housing
do.
authority? Or the,
Action Housing, he said,
Housing.
he said he has absolutely nothing to do with this project.
He owns the building and such, so he is.
They're buying it.
control of
They
this.
they must have already given an option.
Yeah, they bought it.
It can't be like a theoretical
Yeah,
handshake, go and
CBC
apply
has nothing
for
to
the
do with
grant.
this at all.
They have to have it under an agreement.
Yeah.
It's probably conditioned, right? It's probably an option
Well,
agreement.
I don't know, did they even sell the other property yet, or was that still a conditional?
Still
sale?
conditional. No, I think that was bought. No, you're right, I think that was
I
bought,
think that
yeah.
actually transferred.
They own that,
Okay.
and that's why I asked him, he said they have
Is that
nothing
the
to do
Serenity
with.
Styles or
Yes,
building?
they own that, yes.
But the one between Serenity and Sons and Sons, that lot,
They do. I'd have.
I don't know, yeah, I'm just curious.
I'm pretty sure they do.
I mean, that is that's an easy search even
Alright.
for
You know,
them.
the only concern I have now is the limited parking, and they wanna build storefronts. And you can't park on that side of Chartiers Avenue. It's all on the other side, and there's residents that live in the high rise that park there, and everybody else. So if they're adding more retail space, is there not more parking? You know what I mean? It just, where do they go? And if there's nowhere to go, they're not gonna stop there and shop.
I just think we just gonna stay an open book and learn everything, because if you remember last time, we were against it, then we were for it, then we thought that we were for it, then we shut the door on them. So if we don't want it, then let's not do it. But if we're gonna back it, let's just look into and know what we're backing. So that's what I'm saying, because at first I was going back and forth, and I didn't know which way I went. So, okay, let us know what we need to do on that one. You're up, Borough Solicitor. You wanna talk more about the tap-in fee?
Yeah, let's talk about the tap-in fee. So the tap-in fee is ultimately adopted by ordinance. So I have a draft. I want to take one more stab at it because what I ran across was an old ordinance, right? Maybe this is where like the codification, when the day that like materializes, we will all be much more efficient and much happier, I think, in what we do. But there's overlap between that old ordinance, which is,
So McKees Rocks did have an ordinance for a tapping fee?
we didn't call it that, but it served an inspect, like it sets a requirement that all properties have to tap into the sewer system. Okay. But it also has a fee associated with for inspection and for permitting, which is really similar, but it's only a singular one. So where we have in our tap-in, like the way that, I mean, functionally, when you think about like this tap-in fee, it defines what one EDU is, right? And one residential property would be assigned that, but our old ordinance just has a single $400 fee. It doesn't matter if it's a commercial property, if it's a residential property, it's just any property who's connecting a lateral into the system.
Flat fee.
It's relatively small.
And we kind of dropped it.
Well, which is why I need to go and, like, I want to see in the codification if this, so it was ordinance 1449, and it looks like it was adopted in 1984. I have to, like, I don't have anything to suggest right now that it was ever repealed or otherwise replaced. So
we're replacing it or
we
modifying
are
it?
going to, Doug and I are gonna help, they're gonna help me and make sure that, because I don't wanna kill it, I don't wanna rescind or repeal it in its entirety, if there are parts of it that we still need. So either I'm gonna dissect the important parts out of it, and I would prefer to have a restated, here's the alpha to omega of like what our sewer tapping expectations and requirements are, and I put it all in that ordinance for next Tuesday. I think the framework is already there, it's just a matter of whether I'm gonna add anything else and then specifically reference 1449 in a different way. We have enough time to do it.
Okay.
It's already, the ordinance has been legally advertised, but we can make modifications to that up until the time you adopt it. So those are the last finesse parts that I wanna make sure that we get right. I'm sure a lot of things have happened since 1984. There's some design standards, but like maybe not. Maybe in the world of sewers, this is, it's still, I mean, pieces of it still stand the test of time. It will be an opportunity. Every so often we have disputes or disagreements, or we have educational moments with property owners who have broken laterals. And there's, a lot of people will say, well, that's, it's your responsibility, property owner, it's your responsibility to lateral all the way to the main connection, right? I mean, we say that, there's law that supports it. our old ordinance 1449 gets us 2/3 of the way there. And I think it might be an opportunity for us to restate it and say not only when at the time of connection, but also in terms of ongoing maintenance as well. So I might be able to work in a couple more things that we will find could be helpful in some of the sewer things that we in the borough deal with on a month-to-month or a year-to-year basis. So I have drafts of, I have copies of what I have prepared without respect to 1449, if anyone wants to see the framework. One of the questions that that we kind of talked about earlier today was like, well, what if someone expands or adds additional properties, or buildings? That doesn't happen, certainly doesn't happen on residential properties, but every so often on a commercial or an industrial property, you might have more than one, you could theoretically have more than one like lateral, or you can have an expansion of an existing use. There is, in my draft, there is a reference to that and the ability to analyze and assess it based on changes to the use or the intensity of sewer usage or water usage over time. So that's in the ordinance. That's kind of like how there's the law and that would support it in both in the equities of it, but we put it in the ordinance as well.
So I'm
it's clear.
rephrasing what I'm understanding is, and Jeff came and talked about it last time, is they're gonna take over the PNC building as their office for CDC. But they're also looking into restaurant space in the same building. So I would assume that would be a change of what the prior use was as a bank, and they might need more sewer space or another line to accommodate the restaurants.
Correct, and in a restaurant, you need a grease trap, you need like you need a whole, all different stuff, right, for sewer systems on a restaurant, but right now, I have draft, maybe I'll add like a whole, that might inspire me to add another, I guess it's a partial verb, but it says, where any building connected to the sewer system is converted, enlarged, or remodeled, or additional buildings shall be constructed on the property connected directly to the sewer system through an existing lateral, or connected directly through a new lateral, so as to establish or create more extensive use or additional uses, an additional tapping fee in accordance with a different section shall be due and owing and may be payable to the borough. So,
You can add a change in business structure or something like that, where, when it turns from a bank to a restaurant, that's a huge switch.
And it's about the intent, right, it's about the original intensity versus, something else that is, significant.
Yeah, you
like
got
a
the
material
dishwasher,
change.
you got
Right.
restrooms for the employees and residents and everything, and all that other good stuff.
Okay. So
Sometimes what we've done is, if a business is a bank, then it goes to a restaurant, you give them credit for the flow that they originally had as a bank. So like if the bank originally had 300 gallons a day, now the restaurant's gotta go to 2,000, you have 2,000 minus 300 is 1,700. Your tap fee is gonna be based on 1,700 gallons a day.
Not that I don't want restaurants here.
No, but it's, I appreciate that brainstorming, because it's kind of like, okay, well, what, it's a bunch of paper until we have a situation
It's more
to
than
apply it
theoretical,
to.
that's what they wanna do. I support the idea of having restaurants, but, we gotta put that into our,
Into this framework and think about how that would be applied in that situation. So if there's any other things that people are kind of thinking about or with respect to this, just let me know. It could be modified anytime up till next Tuesday. We'll work in the next couple of days to try to get this even closer.
All good questions.
Yeah.
All good questions.
So that is not the only thing here, just as a point of information, Three Rivers Wet Weather, which is a nonprofit who helps facilitate, some of the Alcoasand municipal communications and transfers. They have scheduled for next Wednesday that I'll be attending, like an all solicitor, informational session, and I think this is on the transfer of Alcoasand, of some of the sewer lines. I mean, people who've been around, and if you, there have been these talks about conveying these like borough lines, or certain identified ones, to Alcoasand for like years. And I feel like, every so often, especially when the consent decree kind of comes up, there's more talk about it, and then it just kind of disappears. Maybe that is flaring back up. Maybe that will be something that we see in 25. I mean, Alcoasand needs them, and needs to assume them, and we want to get rid of them. I mean, whatever that asset is largely, is that
Yeah,
fair?
so, there are a number of sewer lines in the borough that we would love to give to Alcoasand. The Ellis Street interceptor is one of them. The problem is Alcoasand would not take it over until we did lots of thousands of dollars of repairs to that interceptor. And that's always what stopped us from going any further with doing that transfer. Because it wasn't like Alcoasand was gonna spend the money to do the work. They wanted us to fix it. And it was just so expensive that we just gracefully walked the other side of the street.
I wonder if any of them are paying attention to what's going on in the news and all the grants and funding, and every department's getting looked at, and they just shut down USAID, which is one of my bigger clients.
Oh my goodness.
And they shut down that, and the EPA is gonna look at everything, and Doug Burgum's gonna go for interior, and lots of changes are coming, and lots of less loose change is gonna be available for a while to get some stuff done.
They're also, Alcoasand has also reached out to us, and we've had Naira assist. The L Street pump station is something that the borough, it might be 8 years, 10 years. I mean, it's been a long time where the borough has said, and has committed, there's no action new action that's required on the part of the borough, other than the follow-through of Alcoasand, that they will take, not just like operational control, but ownership of the L Street pump station. And they are only now getting around to trying to line up a closing for it. Now, in order to do it, right now you have a joint permit to operate that pump station so it's us and Alcoasand, and that's a DEP permit. So in order, before we can transfer the asset, Alcoasand is taking all the steps and trying to get the permit transferred from us jointly to singularly in Alcoasand's name. So that is something else that's, right, like, it's just, I don't know. Bureaucracy, I mean, right, we experience that in lots of different ways, but I think with Alcoasand, it just seems magnified. So, I'll report from and share with Naira and Doug, the Three Rivers, whatever is shared at this Three Rivers Wet Weather solicitor meeting next week, and we'll see how motivated, although it seems somewhat motivated, to close and to finally close out Ella Street pump station. But those are other
Let's
things.
do it. Let's do it.
They're just kind of happening in the background.
The one major issue in my mind with that is that the overflow to the Ellis Street pump station is permitted through us. We've got three solo permits, MKR 1, 2, and 3, and I think that one's 3. And like, if they own it, but we're responsible for the permit, how does that work?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense,
Right,
yeah.
so.
It's a good point.
It would be a fabulous opportunity to be able to have Alcoasand now take responsibility for that overflow and that permit.
Make sure that when we do that they, obviously, I'm sure they know that, like, that's a good bring up.
Naira identified it, we've already and sent it along to Laura Stone and the engineer over at Alcoasand. So
Anything else?
So that's a whole lot of sewer stuff. I do have a deed that's signed by David Phillips. I think this is 3 Ellis Street. So I just need the counter signature. This is a property donation, so I will grab that from somebody tonight. And
Is that the one we already discussed?
We'll
We already
report.
okayed it?
Yes, this has been okay. This is just us
Okay.
getting it back from the owner.
Thank you.
We have a number of these that are kind of out to owners right now.
Well, that's perfect, because like I said, I have questions about the other ones.
All right,
If I could do that, yeah.
that would be good.
No paper streets, come on.
You know, I think we've communicated to Mr. Depp, who was one of them, and I
He's
think,
been a 3-year process.
well,
He has been.
he has been, and I think, and we said, okay, council says yes, but you have, I mean, here's what
We
we
put
would
the ball in
vacate.
his court, when we put the ball in his court, he definitely slowed down.
Well, and he also responded, oh, I thought I was going to get more, or I want more of the paper street, or a different diagram of some sort, and in the end, I mean, that is whatever.
Don't go yet, I have one question for you.
Yeah,
I have to take you back to tapping fees.
yes.
County has it, Ace Manor. They built the houses there. They own the property, they had tap-ins for the apartment buildings. Are they gonna get away with?
That's gonna be a new tapping fee. I don't care.
We have to write that in somehow where,
Well, I know what you're saying, but if they're having new buildings, and I believe, and if you look at some of the demolition stuff, they're tearing up stuff. So I think they're tearing up, like, the piping, and I could be wrong.
I'm just trying to
So
cover
maybe
the
they're
existing
gonna-
stuff there.
I
They
get
already
you.
say, we already, have a tap in there, so.
If they're gonna build, we're gonna charge them everything we
You
can.
bring up a good point, and maybe what we should do is add some language somewhere that says, regardless of whether or not the building is torn down, if it's not in operation for 6 months, you gotta start over.
Good point, yeah.
I want to make sure we're covered on that one.
That's the money, man. That's a good point, man, it really is. All right, anything else? And when is the new girl starting?
On Monday.
Okay, you're doing all the tests and all that stuff. All right, if no other,
Megan, I gave him a phone number for the guy on Railroad Street. He's been fighting with the county for 2 years to try to get that empty lot. He wants to buy it and put it back on tax roll, but.
so what we have to do is, this is one of the ones I was
Social
talking
Security,
about.
they never answered the phone.
We have to go to that place, whoever owns it, if someone does own it, and try to get them to donate it so we can get it to them quicker. He's literally been calling, this gentleman's been calling for years, and I haven't
Bring everybody at the assessors.
So, that's one thing we'll talk
Right.
about, if you don't mind.
Oh,
It's one of the most unorganized.
I know, but we still
places
have
in
to
the county.
go to the property owner, Joe. We don't automatically own the property,
Right.
which is unfortunate. So even though the house is torn down, if that was your house, we would have to go to your family and say, hey, would you like to either pay these taxes or am I correct? We still have to go that route.
Well, I mean, we haven't, it doesn't seem like a prime candidate for eminent domain. I mean, like, there are,
I got you.
they're right, I mean, there's limited times where we have, I mean, like, there's like one more tool in that toolbox, but I don't, it's difficult to say that this is
Yeah.
for public purpose,
No,
right? Like
it's
that-
back in the back,
I mean, it's been like that for a long time.
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
been a
like,
bad.
That's the only other way that you
I
can
think
kind
10,
of swoop in
15
and,
years
like,
ago,
just hate something.
when Mr. Gregory was living, it took him 4 years to get a vacant lot. That's ridiculous with these jackass bureaucrats. Yeah, and they're losing
No, I
money.
mean,
They're
it is.
losing money. They
So that's
don't
one
want a
thing I'm gonna
tax
try to
roll,
talk to you
but
about, if we can help this family.
Okay.
they have
Meeting
different agendas.
Meeting adjourned.